It is a bill that raised eyebrows among millions of Kenyans, more so the young generation who termed it punitive. However, the youth opted to use their social media platforms to amplify their dissatisfaction with the controversial finance bill. As opposed to previous demonstrations being led by the political class in such times, the young generation were forced to deploy their social media prowess and connections to make their views on the controversial bill known. On the X platform, #RejectFinanceBill and #OccupyParliament made headlines, with thousands of X users calling for a total shutdown of the country through demonstrations against a bill that the government had vowed to ensure it sees the light of day. The clarion call was for each protester to carry the national flag, their phones and a bottle of water. On 18th June 2024, thousands of protesters made their way to the Central Business District, overwhelming the police. It being the first successful day of the anti-finance bill demonstrations, the youth were yet again on their social media platforms, calling for the rejection of the bill and calling on parliamentarians to vote against it. On 20th June, the protesters, after widespread mobilization on the X platform, yet again thronged the streets of not only the capital city, but towns across the country. Despite protesting with a Kenyan flag, their phones and bottles of water in their hands, the state unleashed terror on them through the police. The day ending in pain and agony, following the fatal shooting of Rex Masai, a 29-year-old protester shot along Moi Avenue, his death leading to increased rage among the protesters. The protesters were not only dealing with brutality from the police, but mockery from the political class. Led by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, the legislators poured cold water on the protests, terming it inconsequential.
Wale wengi unaona wakiandamana Nairobi, wameshika simu ya iPhone, wanajiita Gen Z, wanafika kwa maandamano na Uber, wanatoka maandamano wanaingia KFC kukula kuku na minofu. Ama hamkuwaona? Muliwaona? Maji ni ile ya chupa. Hao hawajui kukosa stima ni kitu gani. Hawajui mtu wako Eldama Ravine 35% peke yao ndio wako na nguvu ya stima ama umeme kwa manyumba zao. Wale wako na umeme Nairobi 100%.
The calls to reject the finance bill were not only made online and through demonstrations, but also in entertainment joints and even places of worship.
Reject the finance bill. 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 Reject the finance bill.
After 2 rounds of demonstrations, the Gen Z protesters retreated to re-strategize, holding online meetings in the form of X spaces before the last wave of protests, with the bill entering home stretch, where members of parliament were set to cast their final votes in support or against the bill. Despite condemnations and being mocked by the legislators in the National Assembly, the youth did not relent. 25th June 2024, after a series of online meetings including X spaces to mobilize Kenyans to come out in large numbers, thousands of protesters thronged the capital city to protest against the bill. This time around, thousands of others protesting across various towns in the country. The protests hit climax on Thursday 25th in the afternoon, with the youth in their hundreds storming parliament buildings, forcing the earlier vocal MPs to scamper for safety. With the government unleashing wrath on the youth for expressing themselves as enshrined in the Constitution, the police using excessive force on protesters including but not limited to live bullets, at least 60 people, losing their lives to police brutality. Other protesters were abducted in broad daylight, others in the wee hours of the night, only to be found dead in different parts of the country. Despite the youth engaging in demonstrations against the bill as enshrined in the Constitution, President Ruto, before bowing to pressure, labelled the protesters treasonous criminals.